Okay, let's unpack this Cristian Romero transfer saga because honestly, it's way more fascinating than just another player moving clubs. Imagine your manager basically saying, "Help me keep the ship afloat, and I'll let you jump ship later." That's the wild premise here with De Zerbi and Tottenham. Personally, I think this pact reveals something deeper about modern football management. Managers aren't just coaches anymore. They're psychologists negotiating with players' careers. The idea that De Zerbi struck a deal with his squad to prioritize survival first, then personal moves, that's not just smart tactics. It's a reflection of how players and clubs are locked in this constant power dance. But wait, why would a top center-back like Romero even want out? Tottenham's not exactly a small club, right? But here's the twist. De Zerbi's admitting he didn't try to convince him to stay. That's almost unheard of. Managers usually beg star players to stay. But he's respecting this decision? What's that say about the evolution of player agency in football? Let's dive in. Now, De Zerbi's quote about Romero being underwater if he didn't help the team? That's brutal honesty. He's framing it as a mutual survival pact, which sounds fair on paper. But here's what people miss. This kind of agreement shifts the responsibility onto the players. It's like saying, "You're not just employees here, you're stakeholders." And from a motivational standpoint, genius. It forces players to buy into the collective goal, knowing their individual futures depend on it. But does that create a toxic us versus them mentality? Or is it just realistic in an era where transfers are currency and loyalty is fleeting? I'd argue it's a reflection of modern football's transactional reality. Clubs aren't families. They're businesses. And De Zerbi's just being honest about that. Wait, though, De Zerbi also called out the rumor that Romero left to prepare for Argentina's World Cup. He's denying that narrative. Why? Because he wants to control the story. Managers hate when players are portrayed as disloyal, especially when selling a star. By dismissing that rumor, he's protecting both his legacy and the club's reputation. But here's the deeper layer. International football versus club football. Players are pulled in both directions constantly. If Romero did prioritize Argentina, that'd spark a debate about where their loyalty should lie. But De Zerbi's shutting that down, implying Romero's decision was purely personal ambition. That's a subtle jab, right? It makes me wonder, how often do players use national team goals as an excuse when the real reason is money or ego? Let's zoom out. This isn't just about one transfer. It's about a trend where managers are becoming more like facilitators of player careers rather than authoritarian figures. De Zerbi isn't fighting Romero's exit, he's enabling it. That's a power shift. In the past, a manager might freeze a player out if they demanded a transfer. Now, it's negotiation. And from a club perspective, selling a player you've invested in is always bittersweet. But Tottenham's probably happy to cash in, especially with the financial pressures in the Premier League. The bigger question is, does this kind of open-door policy hurt team chemistry long-term? If every player knows they can leave after helping the club survive, does that create a culture of short-termism? I'd say yes, but maybe that's just football's reality now. So here's my takeaway. This story isn't about Cristian Romero. It's about the changing dynamics of power, loyalty, and business in football. De Zerbi's pact is a microcosm of how the game is evolving. Managers adapt or get left behind, players prioritize their brands, and clubs act like corporations. But does that make football less romantic? Or is it just more honest? Drop your thoughts below. And if you're a Spurs fan, enjoy the cash injection, but brace for more turbulence. In this era, no superstar is a guarantee to stay forever. Sad but true.